On this episode is one of the most celebrated singer-songwriters in the music industry. He is also a producer, an actor, a campaigner, a father and a loving husband. And he's one of only 21 people who can put their name against the ultimate acronym, EGOT. That means winning an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. He's known for his ballads and chronicling his life experiences through his songs, such as All of Me, Ordinary People, Pieces. It's been 20 years since his first album, Get Lifted, came out, and he's just released his 10th studio album called My Favorite Dream, John Legend.
My grandmother was our church organist. My mother was the choir director. My father played the drums, and he sang too. And
you were born into a band.
I was born into a band, a church band. They wanted me to produce her recording it, and
oh my God!
And wanted me to sing along with her, and so I'm trying to produce Aretha Franklin. What am I going to tell her?
Oh my God.
Once we grew up and started to realize, the why behind what happened with my parents and my mother, you get to a place of forgiveness.
And that's healing.
And it's healing for both of you.
Everybody. In this episode, we talk about the big turning points in John's life, difficult teenage years when his mom left, and how they rediscovered each other, his determination to turn himself from a management consultant to one of the biggest names in the music world. And I want to ask him about meeting the legendary Aretha Franklin, because, of course, she's one of my music idols. This is the Lulu podcast, and my guest today on Turning Points is John Legend. John Legend, if I think about you and how that touch of genius, musical genius you have, and the beautiful writing, you're an incredible musician. You're only in your 40s. I mean, I'm in my 70s, so you're a baby, right? Compared to me.
You don't look any older than me, though. Look at you.
Yeah, right. But when I think about that, and also, so you're obviously love your work, music, but you're a family man, and you're married to one of the most beautiful women in the world. You have 4 incredible children. And your life is just ahead of you. I mean, it looks to me like you have the perfect life, John Legend.
Well, Lulu, thank you, first of all. But I'm just grateful for my life because I get to do what I love to do every day. And I do have a wonderful family. And I'm so proud of the family that we're building and growing together. And yeah, I do feel like life is good, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
I think that's one of the most important things in life, to be grateful, to have gratitude, yeah?
I'm so grateful. I've been in a lot of reflection mode lately because I've been doing a solo show where I just talk about my life and my career and sing the songs that have meant a lot to me. And then I've been reflecting because of the 20th anniversary of my debut album, Get Lifted. And all of that has made me just be in full gratitude mode because I really am appreciative of all the blessings I've gotten over the past 20 or so years, and it's been quite a wonderful journey.
And that's why, because 20 years since Get Lifted came out, so it's like it's a re-release, but there's some extra stuff on it, but at the same time, the children's album you've got coming.
Yeah.
I listened to it, and I put nosy me. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I wanted to check out the kids, because Luna, your daughter, sings on it. Miles sings on it, and Chrissy, your gorgeous wife, sings on it.
Yeah.
That really touched me, and I think anybody who buys it, that's the first track they'll go to. Love. They'll go straight to that one.
Yes, well, that was the first single too, and it meant a lot to me to have the family on there, and I wanted to from the beginning have a song with them on there, and that just felt like the perfect one, and it's one of my favorites from the album.
And it's great. How did it feel? How was it working with them? Were they disciplined? Did they because it was daddy, were they like, well, whatever? Or
Well,
did
they've
are
never
they
done
like
it
you, a
before.
pro?
they've never done it. They've never, recorded, in a studio before, except for Chrissy, the babies haven't, and, so it was, the little things were challenging, like figuring out how to sing with your headphones on and keep
The
time
technical
and
stuff.
yeah, all the technical things. They sing in the car all the time. Luna sings in musical theater at school, but this was the first time they had to do it in the studio. So I think it was the more technical aspect that were more challenging for them.
But do you think, I mean, I know it's early. Do you think any of them might become musicians?
Well, Luna's getting quite good at the piano, and both she and Miles are taking piano lessons. And then, like I said, Luna's in musical theater at elementary school. She's in third grade, so we'll see how it goes. But she's really into it. She's going to be young Nala in the Lion King in the spring musical.
Oh, that's exciting. My grandson is 12 and he studies classical Spanish acoustic guitar and
Hmm.
he's good at it. And he also has that really sweet little reverb when he sings, you
Oh,
know. He has a
nice.
nice vibrato
Yeah.
and he loves music, but he's also a sportsman and he's academic too. Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
you know, people say to me, I don't know why I even said it to you, because when people say it to me, I go, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? And we just have to encourage them to practice and work hard at it. And if they end up really taking a liking to it and being especially talented at it, I'm going to support them. But I'm also absolutely fine with them not being musicians too.
That's how it should be. I agree with you. But listen, if your life, if I look at like looking at your life from the outside, it's absolutely amazing. And I'm sure you deserve every single bit of it. But was it always like that? How was your childhood?
Well, I grew up in a working class family. My father was a factory worker. My mother stayed at home with us. My parents homeschooled us for a lot of our younger years. So I only went to organized school for 2 years out of the first, 7 grades of elementary and grade school.
Wow.
Um, and the rest of the time I was home. And then I skipped a couple grades as well because being taught at home, I was able to kind of advance ahead of my peers. And so when I finally went to public school in the States, um, I was 2 years younger than all of my classmates. So I arrived at eighth grade when everyone's arriving around age 13. I was arriving at age 11. And then high school starts usually around age 14 in the States. And I arrived there at age 12 and graduate and go to college at age 16. So that was very interesting.
Well, you're obviously, well, obviously, you're tremendously focused.
Yeah, I was a hard worker. I was precocious. I loved to read. I was a bit of a nerd. And then I was in love with music as well. So I grew up in a very musical family. My grandmother was our church organist. My mother was the choir director. My father played the drums and he sang too. And a lot of
Oh
his
God. So
family members loved to
you
sing.
come from a band. You were in a band. You were born into a band.
I was born into a band, a church band, so, a lot of music and a lot of church growing up, and so that was a huge influence on my musical style and just on giving me the opportunity to sing and play in front of people on a regular basis.
So you learned to play piano from your mother or your grandmother?
My grandmother, and if you listen to her play, and then you listen to people like Aretha Franklin play, they had a very similar story. They grew up in the Midwest in America. They grew up in the church. Both of them had fathers who were ministers, and I feel like my grandmother, when I met Aretha finally when I was in my career, she reminded me a lot of my grandmother and the way they played the piano. My grandmother couldn't sing like her, but she played the piano very similarly. Uh, and um, and so I I see that connection between the church and then the soul music that we all love.
And I felt, you know, when I came in the 60s, I was always the youngest. I was like 14 when I had my first hit record with a song called Shout, which was originally the Isley Brothers, right? But I could see that's why those older boys who were in all the bands and I could relate to each other.
And it's wild because the Isley Brothers are still around, and they were kids when they made that record, and they've been making records since the '50s. Isn't that
That's
amazing?
right. It's amazing. Well, music lives forever, really.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you know Aretha well? Because she was my favorite.
I spent some time with her. I recorded with her a couple times. I wrote a song that we did together, and I loved working with her. She's just one of the greatest vocalists of all time, greatest interpreters of song of all time. And I grew up listening to her, and I loved her soul music. I loved her gospel music, everything she created. She just knew how to tell a story
So
with a
what
song.
capacity were you in when you were working with her first? Were you playing piano as a session musician?
I was a writer of a song, and I had already become successful as a solo artist. But I had written a song that Clive Davis wanted to use for an album she was making. It's called "Turn It Up," and they wanted me to produce her recording it, and
Oh my God.
wanted me to sing along with her. And so I'm
Oh
trying to
my God.
produce Aretha Franklin, and I'm like, what am I gonna tell her?
But, I met her too because I used to have a TV series in the BBC, and she came to do one of the shows, and she was so quiet. And
Mhm.
they said to me, "She's terribly shy." And of course, because I revered her so much, I was scared to interfere with her equilibrium or
Yes.
to interfere with her moments of stillness, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But she was so kind of childlike, and I found her quite is innocent, a grown woman, innocent. It was just she didn't have a lot of talk. She wasn't chatty Cathy, you know? She
Yeah,
wasn't she was
she was
just into her music.
really quiet around me too. She likes certain things a certain way. She likes the studio really warm. It was like 80 degrees in there,
Oh my goodness.
Fahrenheit. And
You're sweating.
it's good for the voice. Um, and she was a hard worker. She knew what she wanted, and she's one of the greatest vocalists that we'll ever know.
I
Yeah.
just I mean, I was sort of I think I was just nervous also about approaching or encroaching on her space, you know?
Yeah, just think of me being asked to produce her, and they what am I gonna tell her about how to sing on a song? I just would suggest little things here and there, and do you want to take this again? But basically, I did whatever she wanted.
Yeah, whatever you want, Aretha. Oh, yes, I love it. I love it. Anything you say,
Yes.
Aretha. 3 bags full, Aretha. Yes, I get that. And how but an amazing thing. But, I'm sure she knew before she came in that she wasn't dealing with a newcomer or a
Sure,
learner.
we worked together again over the years, and they'd had me perform at tributes to her, and she was always very kind to me and supportive.
Now, I think because you seem to me to be steady, very steady. Equipoise is the word I
That's
would
true.
use to describe
I
you.
am that way.
You are that way. Well, you are. So it's not just, like, and your life is perfect to me. But where did you learn everything? Where did you learn to manage? I mean, I know you were in management consultancy, and I mean, to me, would you? I think I know what it means to be a management consultant, but could you explain what you see it as? Because I
It's
got a
still hard to
feeling.
explain, honestly. Well, their basic job is to give strategic advice to executives at big companies and big nonprofits, and sometimes they work with governments too. And so they come in and they're expected to analyze a problem from an outside perspective, and then give advice on how to tackle it. Sometimes it's how to enter a new market. Sometimes it's how to merge two companies together in the most efficient way. Um, uh, all kinds of strategic advice. Sometimes we worked with nonprofits who were trying to expand and grow so that they could impact more people. And so we would analyze the problem, interview a bunch of people, do some data analysis, and then come up with some recommendations for
How old
what
were
they
you when
should
you
do.
started doing that job?
I was 20. I had just graduated from university.
Oh my
Um,
God.
I went to University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, which was a great place to be as a musician. But in the meantime, um, I graduated from this Ivy League university and got a job coming out of college and worked as a management consultant for 3 years.
I mean,
And those are the
it's
kinds of
like
things we did.
it's an amazing job to do, of course, and you went to an Ivy League, you say as you said, you went to an Ivy League university. You're one smart guy. And but I think also, with what you do now, you're so successful in your music. I mean, if I was gonna explain management consultancy, and I didn't go to university, and I was never a management consultant, but I would say you help to smooth things out, you help things to get people to get better, you 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 kind of teach people. You're a bit of a teacher.
I think I was always very studious and hardworking and independent.
Curious, curious.
Yeah, I was precocious, you could say. But it wasn't always easy. My parents got divorced when I was around 11 years old, and we basically lost our mom for a while because she was struggling with addiction after her mother died, the one that taught me to play organ and piano. And so she was really out of our lives for a while. And so
How did that affect you?
it really did affect us all.
How
And
many of you?
partly there are four of us. I'm the second of four, and part of it was it made us have to step up and be more independent and take care of ourselves. My dad, he would go to work, and we were latchkey kids, and we would come home and we would cook and we would do the chores around the house to make up for mom being gone. And so we had to kind of help raise each other in addition to my father being a single father. And so I think it taught us to be more responsible for ourselves and more independent. And it also enabled me to take on more responsibilities as a musician because my
In every way,
grandmother
in
passed
every
away.
way.
Yeah, my grandmother passed away, and my mother, who was the choir director, wasn't there anymore. And so I took over for them basically at church. And so it gave me more responsibility at a young age. So my mother is back in our lives now. She's been clean and sober for quite a long time. And she's gotten remarried. And she's really happy. She's such a great grandmother now.
Oh
But
my
for like
God.
it was about 10 years where she was kind of in a dark place and she was able to recover and really come back to the family, and, we're so happy to have her back. And we've all reconciled and
That's a miracle.
had therapy together and forgiven her and it's been a journey, but we've gotten there together.
And do you think that that pain and that struggle in your life you've learned? Because I'm looking to learn from people, what have you learned in your life and what were the turning points in your life?
Well, I think with perspective, I've gotten, as I've gotten older, as I've been a parent and a husband, and also I've seen, my wife go through difficult times, after having our first two babies, she was dealing with a lot of postpartum depression
Yeah, of
and
course.
um, and just seeing her after dealing with loss when we had a miscarriage, they're just you just start to learn what trauma does to people and some of the challenges that we all go through. And I think it taught me how to be a better partner to her, and be more supportive and understanding with her as she was going through some of the most difficult times in her life and really in our lives together. We were going through them. I
That's
think.
great because I think a lot of times women go through, I think my
Hmm.
mother went through depression
Hmm.
after a miscarriage. And I used to think she was lazy because she couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Those days, because that was a
Hmm.
long time ago, nobody diagnosed her. She didn't even go to a doctor to find out what was wrong with her.
Right. And
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 I had to do the cleaning, I had to do the shopping, I had to get the other kids ready, and when they fought, I used to have to keep them apart. I had to be the little old lady in the house.
yeah.
But I now look back and see that my mother suffered, and I know it was from depression.
Yeah, and that's what happened to my mom because it was after her mother died. She was suffering through depression and she wasn't getting it treated and wasn't calling it that. But clearly, she started self-medicating, and that's what led her down the wrong path. And a lot of times we expect our parents to be perfect and do all the right things. And then once we grow up, we start to realize they're just human beings, just like us, and they're dealing with unprocessed trauma a lot of times and mental health issues, just like every human being does. And I think it just gives us more perspective once we grow up and we understand how the mind works and how human beings react to difficult circumstances.
And that's a gift to be able to be aware of that, to be
Mhm.
just aware of that. Because I come from a different era to you. My parents came from another era and they didn't talk.
Yeah.
So I think it's marvelous to speak to a man like you who is aware of his wife's emotional because women go through menopause, they have miscarriages, their hormones are all over the place, and often they can't explain, they don't know themselves what's wrong with them. But of course we're living in different times, but it's great to hear you as a man talk about such things.
Yeah, and
That's why
I
you
did.
that's why your marriage looks perfect because you work at it. You work at it.
Well, we listen to each other, we support each other, and we're there for each other through all the tough times. And I think we've had enough tough times that I think we've been tested very well. Um, and the fact that we've made it through all that together, um, uh, I think it bodes well for the future.
So this is the kind of thing I want to talk to people about, is about how no matter how perfect your life seems on the outside,
Yeah.
you've had the struggles and the challenges like everybody. And the key that I want to hear from people that I talk to on this podcast, I know I'm going to end up loving doing this, is because people will teach me how they overcame the difficulties, how they are, and how it makes us stronger, but also where do you find your strength from?
Well, when I was young, I really threw myself into school and into music. So, as my family's going through this difficult time, we don't have our mom anymore. Um, I'm going to public school for the first time, not knowing a bunch of kids, coming in there as this shy kid who's 2 years younger than everyone. Music and the books, were like my way of kind of it saved me, it focused me, it opened me up socially because otherwise, I don't know if I would ever talk to anybody. But music made it so that I felt comfortable talking to everyone else and interacting with everyone else because music was my way of introducing myself to people. And it,
That's the communication.
yeah,
That's the connection.
yeah.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
So I think music really did save me and help me grow up, help me open up, and open me up socially.
I think music is healing too, isn't it?
Absolutely,
And if it's
absolutely.
if it's our job, and it's amazing, people have laughed at me when I've said, "Well, it's just a job, because I'm well known doesn't mean I'm any different to you." And they go,
Mhm.
"A job, ha ha." But it is a job. But we're
It's a
lucky to have
job,
it.
but it's a pretty cool job.
It's a pretty good job. But at the same time, I think the healing is important, and the fact that you are saying, you're free enough and honest enough to say, there's been tough things. It's not been perfect all the way, and um, I've come through it. And you're
Yeah,
smiling. Look at you,
and I think, as songwriters, um, that's part of how we find what we wanna sing about and
100%.
what we wanna write about. um, because if life is too perfect, the songs aren't very interesting.
Exactly. But I do think it's the honesty that's great. It's the honesty. You write a love song about your wife. There's millions of guys felt that way. You just were
Mm.
able to express it so beautifully, and for us to be able to, well, like you say, it's a gift to be in this business. We're very lucky people. Yeah. I mean, I know you on The Voice. Do you love coaching?
I really do. I would love it. And
I love coach. I love helping young people.
yeah, and I really get inspired by working with all these young artists and seeing them have a dream, and I connect to that dream because I know what it felt like to be
You
where
can
they are in
relate.
their careers. And it's really inspiring. It's renewing. It keeps me in a state of gratitude about my own career, but it also I learn a lot from working with them. Uh, we're
And
always
I
learning.
think it's a two-way street. I hear you.
Mhm.
It's a two-way street. Obviously there is nothing you cannot buy experience.
Mhm.
You can't. So your experience and sharing it with a younger person, and at the
Yes.
same time, what you're enlightened enough to be able to realize that their freshness, whatever they've got, you can learn from it too. And I'm sure they don't feel that, but I'm sure they're like out of their mind working with you. Tell me, how was it? How was it to work with Prince? Oh my God, it just came into my mind. Oh my God.
Well, I was able to spend a little bit of time with Prince. We never actually did a song together, but we like jammed together. Um,
So jealous.
he would have those after parties at his house in Los Angeles, and he would bring me up to jam and different artists up there. But we never made a proper record together.
That's a
Um,
shame.
but it was just cool to be in his presence. He was one of my favorite artists and still is, and just the consummate musician uh, who
But he gave you good advice. I know it's been recorded, it's documented that he told you I mean, I wish someone would have told me what he told you.
well, he was very keen on making sure artists retained as much control as they could. And
Yes, he was.
it's not easy to do that because there are all kinds of cross pressures and different power dynamics. And especially when you first sign, you're all the powers with the label usually. But as you grow in your own career, then you can take some of that power back. And so his advice is always in my head about making sure you control as much as you can.
And I get that you control it in a very calm and very gentlemanly way. You see, talking to you now, you know how I would describe you? As the consummate gentleman. It's the energy you give out.
I am a calm person. I'm very much like my father actually. His demeanor is very similar to mine, and I think I was just born that way. I was raised by him, but I think some of us took on his personality, and I definitely took it on more than my siblings did.
Yeah, really. The others are not like you?
They're not exactly like me, and I think I'm the most like my father personality wise.
Do you look like your father or your mother?
I look like his side of the family. I look like him and his brothers quite a bit.
So here in this country, we'd say it's like he spat you out.
He spat me out, yeah, and, now you see my kids, and, a couple of them look like I spat them out too.
I've seen pictures.
Yes,
I must say they're more beautiful than you. You are beautiful, but they're more beautiful.
they're gorgeous.
I think you are a spiritual man.
Yeah, I've been, raised in Christianity, but I think, the spirituality has carried forward even though I'm not as religious as I used to be. And I think music is a spiritual practice. I think meditating is as well. With
Do you
prayer,
meditate?
sometimes yes. Um, and even if you're not sure who's listening, I think it's good to pray because it helps you focus your intentions for what you want for your life and what you want for others, and it informs the work that you do. And I think it's great to have some faith and some hope, um, because um, it informs your work. It informs the things you're willing to do out in the world if you have some faith and some hope.
Very important. I agree with you entirely. And I think without hope, where are we?
Yeah, one of the activists I work with says hope is a strategy, and because
That's interesting.
how are you going to work if you don't have hope that it's going to pay off? You know.
So that's a very good way of putting it. Hope is a
Hmm.
strategy, and you have to have it. And I think, you know, if you're conscious at all, it's important to want to know, like I'm getting from you, how you do it, how you live your life. I think it's a great thing. That's the way you give back. You give through your music, but in sharing right now, if someone's listening
Hmm.
and hear something you've said that they think, oh, maybe I should do that. Like I spoke to Boy George, and George does affirmations every day. I do affirmations every day.
Hmm.
You know, I don't think everybody does it, but if I didn't know about it, I would kind of be happy to hear. What do you do? And I think the sharing that life isn't just happy clappy all the way. You have to work and forgive, yes?
Oh yes, forgiveness is big, like I said, once we grew up and started to realize, the why behind what happened with my parents and my mother, um, eventually you get to a place of forgiveness, um, and it's healing for both of you.
Everybody.
The person you're forgiving and for yourself, because if you're holding on to it and the resentment is still like festering within you, it's very debilitating for you emotionally, and the best way for everybody to heal is for you to eventually forgive. And some kids go through a lot worse. I wasn't abused, I wasn't harmed in any way, physically by my parents. We were just, harmed emotionally by the loss of
Well,
my
there was
mom for.
abandonment.
Yeah, exactly. And so everybody's got a different journey, um, and it may be too hard to forgive, certain certain, sins and certain offenses. But whatever you do, somehow you've got to be able to release it, um, for you to grow into the person that you need to be.
100%. Amen, shall I say?
Hmm.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Did we talk about the fact that you're an EGOT?
We haven't yet. We can now.
I think we should do it before we finish because not everyone in this country would know what an EGOT is. We know what an Egypt is. An Egypt is an Irish Scottish word that means you're a fool. You're not a fool. You're far from it. You are a member of a very exclusive club.
Well, I won my EGOT with two of your countrymen, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber and Sir Tim Rice. Uh, we all won it together because we were all producers of Jesus Christ Superstar, and all three of us had already won Grammys and an Oscar and Tonys, and all we needed, the three of us, were an Emmy, and we won it together and became EGOTs together. Um, and it was for producing a live version of Jesus Christ Superstar that we did on NBC in the States.
Fantastic. So EGOT is Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
That's right.
And there's only like 20 odd people in the world.
There's 21 now, and I think I was 15 at the time. I was number 15.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. You were the first black man to get an EGOT?
That's correct. I was the second youngest EGOT ever and the first black man to ever get it. And Whoopi was the only other black person who had gotten it up to that point. Since then, Jennifer Hudson has, and Viola Davis has. but I'm still the only black man who ever
You're
has.
the only black man. Well,
Yes.
hallelujah. High five. Boom.
High five.
Well, I don't think we need to keep you any longer. You've been so generous with your time.
Well, Lulu, it's such a pleasure hanging out with you and so nice to get to know you.
Yeah, I feel like
And
I know you a little bit too.
I'm glad that you invited me on the show.
I
Hopefully
just
it
want to
turns
say
out
to
great.
everybody how this Get Lifted is an album that you have out. It's the one that huge album, my God, that you released 20 years ago. It's been remixed. Tell us about it. It's been
Yeah, so the original album still is there, so you can listen to the old tracks as they were 20 years ago. But we've also done some remixes um, that are on a bonus LP, and so you can order the vinyl of that, or you can listen to it digitally now. And the remixes are really cool. We feature Thames and Simi, both of whom are Nigerian artists. We feature Black Thought, one of my favorite MCs from The Roots, and Killer Mike and Lil Wayne, two
oh
of my
my
other
God.
favorite
Oh my
MCs.
God. It's a must
And
get.
so it's really got some great new guests on the album. In addition to the original album, we've done some reimagining. So it came out really beautifully. And like I said, I'm just in a state of complete gratitude and nostalgia and
A
really appreciate
delirium.
yeah and really appreciating the 20 years journey that I've been on and the fact that so many of my fans have been with me and really especially my fans in the UK really grabbed on to Ordinary People as a song
We love you over
and
here.
it really connected. I remember not only did it do well in its original form, but it kind of came back when Will I Am was on The Voice, and um, one of the artists on his team sang the song, and he told the story of him writing the song with me. Will I Am and I wrote the song together, and the song shot back up the charts.
Oh my God.
Uh, and so it's had quite a journey in the UK, especially. Um, and so I think this album really established my connection with the British audience really well.
I think
And
it did.
so I'm excited that we can celebrate 20 years.
So thank you once again. I think I'm going to let you go now. I can tell we could go on. We could find things more and more to talk about. But we'll
Well,
maybe.
thank you so much. Thanks for having me. What a
Thank you,
pleasure.
John. God bless you. I think that's the first time I've heard John talk so movingly about his upbringing, about how the family came together and embraced forgiveness. But what comes over is a man with a quiet determination, an absolute passion for his music and what he does. But most importantly, his family is at the core of everything he does. If you listen to his new album, you can hear them on it. As always, I'll put everything we spoke about in the show notes, but if you have any thoughts or questions, please drop me an email, lulu@whistledown.net. The Lulu podcast, Turning Points, is a Whistledown podcast. Our producer is Faye Lyons-White. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Lulu podcast. And of course, don't forget to rate or review us wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, just before I go, let me tell you about an amazing new podcast from Whistledown. It's The Power Sisters. They're Rachel, Elaine, and Caroline, three of the sassiest, most single-minded women you'll ever meet. They're old school friends and mentors for life. And they're so funny.
I mean, money worries are difficult
When you
in a
can't
relationship.
pay the bills, you cannot have a healthy relationship.
Shall we take away your salary? My mother is, of age, and she's still looking.
Yeah, your mum looks
gorgeous.
amazing.
Where are you going? I said, oh, I'm recording a podcast. Oh, yeah, you, Auntie Rachel, trying to be famous.
Yes, we're not trying. We're not trying. We are.
I said, you're rude. We're not trying.
Welcome to the Power Sisters.
That's Power Sisters. Listen to them on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.